Carter's final story is a difficult plot to unfold, with many unnatural things occurring around the town where he has grown up and found inspiration from. The game is set in the early 1970s. This is shown in a newspaper clipping which mentions the NASA ATS-6 program, which was launched in 1974. Letters of rejection from a publishing agency confirm this by being date stamped. Ethan is a creative child who enjoys going outside and exploring, using his surroundings as inspiration for writing. These stories are also influenced by horror writers such as Lovecraft, whose books can be found in Ethan's room. Unfortunately, Ethan's family does not support his creative side. Throughout the game, you can hear echoes of his mum telling him off.
Stop living in your head. Do something real. That's what people respond to. Reality.
And his uncle and brother insulting him.
You got yourself a faggot for a son, Dale.
You play as a detective, Paul Prospero, who seemingly has supernatural powers and can see events leading up to murders, and can travel through portals between worlds. Ethan's family has been possessed, as Ethan has woken what is only known as the Sleeper. Only Ethan's grandpa is trying to defend him. However, after watching most of his family die, we find them all alive, trying to rescue Ethan from a house fire. So what have we been witnessing, and what is the Sleeper? The fire is shown to start twice. The first time, Ethan and his grandpa start the fire in order to stop the Sleeper. However, the second time it starts is much more believable. His mum accidentally knocks over a lamp, and the fire spreads quickly. Ethan sees the fire and locks himself behind a heavy door while his family try and put out the fire to save him. The fact this act has been shown twice, with two different ways, shows we cannot trust everything we see and hear, as much of this game is based in Ethan's imagination, memories and inspirations. Just before the real fire is started, Ethan's family spot a story about a supernatural detective, Paul Prospero.
The Adventures of Paul Prospero, Supernatural Detective.
The character you have been playing. After the fire starts, Ethan locks the door, and because he's scared, escapes into his imagination. Paul Prospero is the character he's been recently writing about, and so he is the main character of Ethan's fantasy. In his head, Ethan thinks of his home and all of the places that inspired his stories, reliving the places as if the stories were real. You'll relive the stories in his head, first as though you were there, experiencing the fear of zombies, huge sea monsters, and spaceships that take you to space. Then you read the story that was actually written, but with every story comes a painful memory of his mother shouting at him, or his uncle and brother insulting him. There is no memory of his father raising his voice or insulting him. However, a newspaper clipping in a burnt room suggests his father had an illegal moonshine operation going on. The only person who is not mentioned in any memory is his grandpa, who is also seen trying to defend him against the Sleeper. I believe the Sleeper is Ethan's depression, caused by an unsupportive family, and his stories being rejected by his family and publisher time and time again. He feels lonely and an outcast, so depression has set in. He sees the fire, panics, and then gives up. He lets the Sleeper win and escapes into his own fantasy. Paul Prospero, and the whole game is Ethan's last story before a fire takes his life.